Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jody Dard. I'm the coordinator for ACMHAI, and this is the first of a three-part series that we're doing on webinars in partnership with the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. So first one here is to learn about self-advocacy 101. Before we get started, I'm just going to take a moment to introduce our speakers. And then we'll get started. So our first speaker, Adam Weiser, is the project director for the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance, also known as the Alliance. He also serves on the Young Professional Board and is a member of the Advocacy Awareness Club at the Center for Independent Futures in Evanston, Illinois. He completed the PACE, which is the Path to Academics Community and Employment Program through National Louis University, and lives independently in his own apartment with roommates. He enjoys riding his bike and spending time with his dog, Bruce, and he specializes in empowering other self-advocates to speak up and speak out and presents regularly as a content expert at the Alliance. Today's other speaker is Krescene Beck, and she provides organizational advocacy support for the Alliance. As a licensed nursing home administrator and former executive vice president of a large disability service agency, Krescene has spent the past 16 plus years working on statewide grants focused on self-advocacy and on building collaborations to better respond to people with disabilities who experience violence. Krescene specializes in creating opportunities for self-advocates to find and use their voices to live their best lives. She also services as a co-director with Blue Tower Solutions Incorporated. So thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, I'll just turn it over.
All right, Adam, take it away.
Let's learn about Self-Advocacy 101 and the Alliance.
Yes, and thank you, ACMHAI, for having Adam and I. We're eager to learn with and from you as we explore self-advocacy. So you heard a little bit about Adam, but Adam, go ahead and do another introduction.
Hi, I'm Adam Weiser, and I'm the project director ambassador of the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. I am the ARC of Illinois 2022 Self-Advocate of the Year. I belong to Center for Independent Futures Self-Advocate of the Year, and I'm on the Young Professional Board.
And you'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Adam and his journey so far. And so, Adam, would you share a little bit about our 5-year focus?
Build capacity resulting in self-advocates, being in the lead of the organization and related activities, support self-advocates in achieving their next.
Yes. The Alliance has been proud to be a funded initiative of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities since 2008. We started our current funding in 2022 and we'll go through 2027. And what Adam said, support self-advocates in achieving their next, is exactly what we focus on doing. Self-advocacy is not a program. Self-advocacy is not a class down the hall. Self-advocacy is the foundation of living your best life. It is the very foundation to support people in achieving their next. So what we offer you is food for thought in terms of how do you incorporate self-advocacy into the fabric of what you do on a daily basis. And Adam, would you share over these 5 years, what are we focused on?
So our new areas of focus are Youth and Transition, Advocate Bureau, LGBTQ+ Empowerment Program. And our current areas are member group chapters, learning and advocacy opportunities, engagement and collaboration.
And again, with all of our areas of focus, whether it's new or things that we've done for quite some time, but we are enhancing them. Self-advocacy is at the very foundation. And Adam and I get to meet a lot of amazing self-advocates. When we say self-advocates, we mean people who identify as having an intellectual or developmental disability, although the Alliance would never ask anyone for their diagnosis. We think that anyone with a disability who wants to engage with us and who wants to learn more about speaking up and speaking out is welcome to join us. But they have these 4 things that are very core to them that they want us all to remember. So Adam, what are those?
Nothing about us without us. We have a mouth. We can speak for ourselves. We can make our own choices.
Indeed, if self-advocates didn't come to our programs, if they weren't being supported by our agencies or organizations, we would not have a job. So we need to make sure that they are very much involved and included and heard, that people have a place and space at the table, not tokenism, but they are very much in the room where it happens. If you are familiar with Hamilton, there's a whole amazing song about being in the room where it happens, and self-advocates want to be there. Not every self-advocate, and that's okay. But when people are given opportunity and choice, and they express a desire to be part of the process, that we are supporting them in the way that makes sense to be part of that process. And so we're going to play a little bit of this or that right now. We're going to give you the opportunity to make some choices. You can type it into the chat box and Jody will read it out loud, or you can take yourself off of mute and speak it out loud, whatever works best for you, because that's a choice. And it's hard for people to make choices if they don't have an opportunity to do it. So Adam, what's our first?
Do you like the St. Louis Cardinals or the Chicago Cubs?
All right, let's hear from you. Are you a Cardinals fan or are you a Cubs fan? Does anybody want to be bold and brave and let us know?
We've got Cubs and a couple of Cubs, a Cardinals.
Okay. Okay. You know what? Thank you so much. So we do this choice activity with self-advocates, and we are always thrilled when people say either the Cubs or the Cards, or if they say, I don't even like baseball. You know what? It is okay as a self-advocate to say, I don't like any of the choices that you are giving me. And in fact, I'd like a different choice. We have oftentimes condition people to pick one of the 2 things that we are offering. Being a self-advocate means saying yes to things. It's also important to be a self-advocate who can say, no, I don't want either one. All right, let's go to the next one.
Would you rather have Coke or Pepsi?
Yes, it is a hot day. So if you are given the choice of Coke or Pepsi, which would you choose? Adam, which would you choose?
I would do Coke.
I would do Coke too.
Well, it looks like we got a Sprite and a Sprite, a Pepsi, any, either if it's sugar-free.
Okay.
So
all right. So thank you for going beyond these 2 choices. And I thank you for that. I also want you to think about it in terms of the work that you do. Sometimes when we give people a choice between one of 2 things, that's not a choice, that's a dilemma. And maybe it's about what would you like to drink, and then allow the person to say what works best for them. Let's try this next one.
Do you want a hamburger or do you want a hot dog?
Oh, yeah. And how often do we give folks an option? I hope we're giving people an option all the time. But what would you choose, a hamburger or a hot dog? I know we're doing this around lunchtime, so your stomach may be saying something.
Well, I've got one of each plus a both. Oh, another hot dog. Looks like hot dog so far.
All right. And some people, I would say, who would want one of each? Well, that would be me. I would say I'd like to have one of each today. Let's try the next one.
Do you like daytime or nighttime?
Yeah, when do you come alive? Daytime or nighttime? And I'll just add, while folks are chiming in or thinking about chiming in, when people have their natural rhythm to the day, are they more active during the day? Is it during nighttime? And that can have implications in terms of how we schedule for programming, or perhaps the type of job that they would like to have. Are they more awake during the evening hours? That would be the time that maybe we do some programming or some must-have things. Maybe it's during the day that they shine the brightest. Maybe that's the time to schedule for annual meetings. So thinking about people's natural body rhythms and when they are more awake than other times. We probably have a bit more of the luxury to do that. As staff, can we provide that opportunity to the people that we support? And I say, yes, we can. Oh, here's some more food stuff.
Would you rather have Chicago deep dish pizza or thin crust pizza?
All right. People usually have pretty strong opinions on this. So, Jody, what are folks saying?
I haven't seen, oh, here we go. We've got a both a thin. We've got all pizza's good. Impossible to choose. I'm kind of that same way. I'll take either. Depends on the mood I'm in, but we've got another thin, both. Yep.
Okay, all right. And you know what? I have, as a former provider, I know that people were on a variety of diet orders. And can we splurge every now and again? Is that something that we are able to do? You know, let's do the deep dish this time and folks can enjoy it. All right. So, Adam, what does this leave us with?
What does self-advocacy mean to you?
So we're talking about self-advocacy. And if we asked you that question, and we are, what does self-advocacy mean to you? If you had to answer this question, what would you say? How would you answer that? All right, is anybody sharing how they would answer that?
Feel free to put it in the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand, go ahead and speak. We have a nice informal crowd here, so.
Oh, sure.
Here's oh, it keeps moving. Speaking up for oneself and making real choices for oneself.
Yes.
We've also got ability to get your needs and desires met, and others respect those those needs or requests. Sorry. Being able to communicate my needs. Inclusion in the process. Feeling safe to be honest.
Oh, I like that. Because a lot of folks that we support have not felt safe to be honest, and perhaps they have shared the desires of their heart or how they could live their best life, and it wasn't met with overwhelming support. Maybe it was not heard. Maybe it was not honored. So, Adam, How do we at the Alliance define self-advocacy? And everybody who chimed in said amazing things, and we thank you.
Speaking up and speaking out for yourself and for other people who can't or don't know how to speak up for themselves.
Everything you said really boils down into this particular definition, and it is sometimes more nuanced than this. Speaking up and speaking out, sharing your true self, being honest, and we really need to make sure that we are developing relationships built on equality and respect and honor, as we ask people what's important to them, and that we are listening and that we are learning and understanding. And when we don't, asking questions such as, tell me what that means to you. So really being open to receive the information is so important. And so I said that we were going to learn a little bit more about Adam, so now is the time.
All right. I was born in Annapolis, Maryland, and have lived in 4 states: Maryland, North Carolina, Indiana, and Illinois. I am 38 years old. I have Williams syndrome, which is a developmental disorder. When I was a kid, it was hard because I struggled to understand what my disability was. I wasn't treated well, I was bullied and was behind in school, and graduated later than I was supposed to. I did special ed for a few years and then transitioned to regular classes. Moving often seemed to complicate everything. I have 2 brothers and a sister. They live in Carmel, Indiana, where my parents live. I have 2 nephews and 1 niece. I attended Pace at National Louis University. I learned how to live independently, doing money management, chores, cooking, different jobs, and how to live with others. Now I live in Evanston, in an apartment with 2 roommates and 3 other housemates. I receive services from Center for Independent Futures in Evanston. I get tutoring and rent my apartment from them. I also participate in activities. I live in a great town with great friends, and I enjoy my life. I live by transportation, and our town is pretty accessible for people with disabilities. My hobbies are riding my bike, word searches, listening to music, lots of walks, hang out with friends, go to movies or dinner, being with Bruce, our house dog. In 2019, I participated in the Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program. AOP is a 6-section curriculum to help advocates with intellectual and developmental disabilities learn about leadership, advocacy, and public speaking. I learned how to speak for my needs and figure out what is important to me. I like meeting the other ambassadors too. My goals are to speak to other groups about disabilities, talk to senators about how important benefits are, talk to transition groups about advocacy. I've worked at many places: the Chicago Botanic Garden in the cafe, at a movie theater as an usher, at Ravinia Festival. I currently work part-time at Nordstrom in the cafe. I worked there for 10 years. In 2020, I joined the Alliance as a paid self-advocate. Then I was promoted to project director in 2022. This role is an opportunity to help other advocates learn how to be leaders in their communities. I've learned skills in advocacy work that has helped me progress: public speaking, telling my story, being more confident in speaking to other people, networking, and how to run an organization. It's an exciting opportunity, and I'm honored to serve self-advocates in Illinois. My hopes and dreams: I want to travel to the west part of the United States, Oregon, California, and Seattle, Washington. I want to go to more concerts with friends. I want to work in the catering business. I want to do more presentations.
And so just like Adam, all self-advocates that you support are so multidimensional, right? We have hopes, we have dreams, we have wishes, we have wants, we have histories, both good and bad. Every journey, every place we go, everything we want to do, it all begins with the first step. And that first step is self-advocacy, the speaking up and speaking out for what's important to you, or sometimes helping others speak out for themselves. And so Adam and I are going to take you through the presentation that we do with self-advocates, because it is so amazing and we want you to have that experience. And then we hope that you decide you would like folks that you support to have that experience as well, and to have us do that with them. At the Alliance, we see self-advocacy as a puzzle, and there are 5 puzzle pieces. There's what, how, who, when, and where, and why. Those 5 puzzle pieces make up the self-advocacy puzzle. When we put them all together, it makes an amazing picture. So we're going to take you through that puzzle. While we do that, I'd like for each of you to perhaps have in mind a self-advocate that you know well, that you support, or maybe there's a couple self-advocates that you know well that you could share these answers about. We ask you not to use names because confidentiality is very important. But think about some folks that you know well, that you support, that you could answer these questions on their behalf. So let's do the first puzzle piece.
What are some things you can advocate for?
All right. So as we explain this, advocate is another word for speak up and speak out. So knowing folks that you support, what are some things that they can advocate or speak up and speak out for? Sometimes people have a hard time thinking of this. And so we might say, tell me what living your best life looks like. Explain to us, what are the things involved in living your best life? So maybe that's a way that you can engage with people and have the conversation. And these are conversations that should be happening all the time, not just in preparation for an annual meeting, but rather as we engage with people regularly. So now that I said that, if you want to type into the chat box, what are some things that folks you know can advocate for? What are some things they want to live their best lives? All right, and hopefully some folks are going to be chiming in. And if you don't chime in, that's okay. We're going to give you some examples. So Jody, has anybody chimed in before we move on to share what other self-advocates have said?
We've got a couple here: choosing their roommate or not having a roommate at all.
There you go.
Trying a new hobby, eating the diet they want, medical concerns, and the list can keep on going on. Traveling and enjoying events.
Yeah, absolutely. All these things that make up a really amazing full life. These are what people want, right? Self-advocates want what you and I want. We are all self-advocates. We should all be about speaking up and speaking out for the things that are important to us. You and I probably do it regularly, but sometimes people with intellectual and developmental disabilities haven't learned that or haven't been celebrated to speak up and speak out. So we need to look for opportunities where they are sharing what's important to them. So Adam, will you share what we've heard from folks around the state?
What you want and don't want, what you need and don't need, hopes, dreams, and goals, where or how you want to live or work, accommodations, rights, supportive decision making, if you are unhappy, being hurt, or feeling unsafe, boundaries, concerns about power and control. And can someone read the bottom purple line for me?
Yeah, someone out there, go ahead, take yourself off of mute and read what's in the purple. That's our takeaway for this puzzle piece.
I can speak up about anything that is important to me.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate that. And what's really cool when we do this presentation, self-advocates want to be part of it. And we ask who would like to read this out loud. And we have never had anyone turn us down to read it out loud. If you're a reader, great. If you're not a reader, great. We will support you in reading this. So every example that you shared really falls within this larger list. Let's go on to the second puzzle piece.
How can you advocate?
All right, this has to do with all the different ways people can communicate. What are all the different ways people can communicate? So we're giving you a hint right now. We're speaking, so using your words, using your voice and speaking. That is one of the many ways that people can advocate or communicate. But what are some other ways that folks that you support can communicate? So go ahead and type it into the chat box.
Sign language is one of the
Yep.
responses. Communication devices,
Yep.
phones and whatnot. Facial expressions.
Absolutely.
Through visuals or picture books.
Okay.
Doing the right thing in situations.
Okay. All right, you guys are coming up with a lot of great ones. We're going to show you the list that we've compiled based on what self-advocates have shared with us.
American Sign Language, speaking, writing, smiling, frowning, phone call, email, text, pointing, gesturing, communication device, voting, and can someone read the purple line at the bottom for me?
Everyone communicates.
Thank you, Heaven. You are right. Everyone communicates. It really hurts my heart when people say, you know, they're nonverbal and they don't communicate. I don't believe that. I believe that whether you choose to use words or language, everyone communicates. And most of us use a variety of communication styles. We also communicate with music and with artwork. And if I go back to the who's a Cardinals fan, who's a Cubs fan, if you have a Cardinals or a Cubs t-shirt or ball cap or stickers, that's the way we communicate as well. Sometimes the quietest ways to communicate make the loudest impacts. Let's go to the next puzzle piece.
Who can you advocate for?
All right, so this is a trick question. I'll ask you, who is the most important person that you can advocate or speak up and speak out for? who is the most important person that you can advocate or speak up and speak out for?
You've got yourself, and then myself and my kids, yourself
Mhm.
again.
Yes, thank you. Yourself. And there are times that self-advocates get that right away. I am me, myself. And then there's other times that they are saying all kinds of other names. And, maybe it's my mom or my kids or my sister. And those are all very important people to advocate for. But you are the most important person, because moms can know us really well, teachers, staff, doctors, all these folks can know us really, really well. But we know ourselves best. We know what we're thinking. We know how we're feeling. We've had, however old you are, that many years experience being us. And then again, who are those other people that you can advocate for? Well, we're going to share a list.
Myself, other people with disabilities, friends, family, a group or program you're a part of, employer, your pets, something that is important to you. And can someone read the bottom purple line for me?
I can be an ally for others.
Thank you, Taylor. Yes. People with disabilities can be allies or helpers or friends for other people. It doesn't always have to be paid support people being the helper to a person with a disability, or a volunteer being a helper. As a person with a disability, I have many gifts and talents and things that I can offer to others. And that gives many people a great deal of self-worth. And so are we offering people opportunities to be part of things, groups and programs and things that they can really engage in and be an ally for others. I found it so interesting. I never thought about pets until one woman said, I'm an ally or a helper for my pet. And I said, well, tell me more about that. And she explained, well, my cat doesn't communicate with words. I have to watch the cat to see, is it eating? Is it drinking? Is it sleeping too much? Does it just look like it doesn't feel well? And when that happens, I have to call the vet. And my parents have to help me get my cat to the vet. And that made a lot of sense to me. And so I said, that is going on our list. And indeed it is. The next one.
Who can you advocate to?
All right. So thinking of folks that you support, who would they choose to advocate to? Who do they choose to speak up and speak out to when they want or need something?
We've got doctors, politicians, family members, staff, friends, family case managers, or family case managers, friends, teachers.
Great lists. Yes, you guys rattled those off so well and so quickly, and it's amazing. And what's sad sometimes when we are doing this presentation, there may be a self-advocate or two who really has to struggle to think, who can I go to if I need something? And we want every person to know there's at least one person in your life that you can go to that is going to be able to help you if you need help. And sometimes it's because of a trauma history that people feel like they can't trust someone. Maybe they're new to a program and they simply don't know yet who they can go to. But we want to make sure that everyone hopefully has at least one person that they can trust, that they can go to if or when they should need help. But Adam, will you share the list that self-advocates have created?
Case manager, independent service coordinator, social worker, employer boss, family parent or guardians, friends, doctor or nurse, counselor, therapist, legislator, and can someone read the bottom purple line for me?
I can speak up. Oh, I can speak up to anyone I want.
Yes, thank you, Heaven. You can speak up to anyone you want. And this is another important skill for self-advocates who some believe that they can only speak up to certain people, when in fact, they can speak up to anyone they want. Now, we do go through some role plays where sometimes there are going to be people who aren't going to listen to you. And so, what are your options when you speak up to someone and they don't listen to you? And we have them think through that. Well, I could just do it myself. Well, yep, you could. Or I could go to somebody else, or I could go to that person's boss. And so, we really try to help people work through when you're asking someone for help and they don't help you, what next? What are your options? All right. And we usually have some really good conversations around guardians. Well, I tell my guardian, but they don't do what I want. And so I know we're going to be talking about supported decision making and guardianship and some other things, but these are some of the concerns that self-advocates bring to the table. How do I talk to people about the things that matter to me? How do I make them listen? Well, unfortunately, we can't make people listen. I just hope that we are planting the seeds to all of you that when self-advocates are sharing things, it's important for us to be still and listen with the intent to understand. And if we don't understand, saying, help me understand what you mean.
When and where can you advocate?
All right. Where are those places and spaces that people can be speaking up and speaking out? What are your ideas? Where are those places and spaces people can be speaking up and speaking out? And I hope you're all typing in so that Jody can read them out loud. And if you're not typing in, that's a cue for you to type some stuff in.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Anywhere and everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
Everywhere and anywhere. You are right. All these places where people can advocate. And Adam's going to share some more specifics.
Home and work, during transportation, discovery and person-centered planning meetings, in the community, restaurants, bowling alley, etc., appointments, doctors, hair salon, etc., the Capitol and legislators' offices. And can someone read the bottom purple line for me?
I can speak up anytime in any place I want.
Yes, thank you, Jody. We talk a lot about advocacy, especially during pre-meeting planning sessions, discovery, person-centered planning meetings, and letting people know that meeting is all about them. It's not about the people around the table. It's not about the independent service coordinator or mom or dad. It really is about you and you being able to share about the life that you want to live. And if you are someone who is part of that process and you have the ability to make some space within those meetings for a person to be able to start the meeting by sharing, not at the end of the meeting and saying, okay, do you understand everything we said and all the goals you're going to work on? By that time, everybody's ready to leave the meeting. So if I'm that self-advocate, I'm going to agree to everything just so I can get out of there. But really being thoughtful and intentional with how do we involve people in their meetings so that their true authentic self comes out and they are able to take those steps they want to take to live their best lives. So, so important. I also encourage you to think about the places and spaces within your agencies and organizations where self-advocate involvement might be needed. Is it part of the safety committee? Is it part of some management meetings? Is it part of a human rights committee? The agency is there because self-advocates are there. And how do we include people, all the people who want to be included? What supports do we need to do? We can do this. We really can do this. And so we have been through what, how, who for, and who to, and when and where. And this is the final puzzle piece that brings it all together.
Why should you advocate?
So why? Why is it important that people speak up and speak out? Why is it important that we talk about self-advocacy? Why is it important that we help people learn about self-advocacy and that we embed it into the very fabric of our agencies and organizations? So what are your thoughts? Why should you advocate? Why should you speak up and speak out?
We're already starting to get some responses. We have to have the life you want and deserve to get your needs met.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Adam, would you share the list that we came up with?
It is good to ask for something you want or need. It is good to ask for something someone else may want or need. Put a stop to what you don't like or want, to get better services and support, to show we are equal. And can someone read the bottom part of the line for me?
It is my right to speak up for myself.
Thank you, Herbert. It is your right. And we let folks know you have rights. And one of your rights is to speak up for yourself. We also help people understand the other rights that they have as people receiving services. Rights are so important, but with rights come responsibilities. That is for sure. So Adam, would you review all of our takeaways for our puzzle pieces?
I can speak up about anything that is important to me. Everyone communicates. I can be an ally for others. I can speak up to anyone I want. I can speak up anytime and any place I want. It is my right to speak up for myself.
Yes. And how many of you can repeat and complete the phrase I'm going to say? Practice makes. Hopefully, many of you either said or thought in your head, practice makes perfect. And there's truth to that. I tend to think that self-advocacy, it's really hard to be perfect and to always speak up and speak out for the things that you want and need. And so I offer this to you. The more you practice, the better you get. The more you practice speaking up and speaking out, the better you get. And life every day gives us opportunities to be self-advocates and to speak up and speak out. I also extend this further to each of you in your roles in supporting people with disabilities. The more you practice providing opportunity to learn and to go ahead and practice speaking up and speaking out, the better self-advocates are going to get. And sometimes it takes a long time for people to learn that they can speak up and speak out. But being patient and offering choices, offering opportunities for people to say yes or no, offering people to have voice and choice over their life is so important. And with that, people get strong. And the more we practice, the prouder we get. And we can get proud by practicing. I know that Jody will be sending out some information to you. One of the bits of information is this particular resource. It's called Pieces of the Self-Advocacy Puzzle. It goes through the little activity that we just did. You can certainly share it with folks that you support. The other piece of information is a list of self-advocacy resources. Certainly, the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance is an amazing resource. We're not the only resource. There's lots of different agencies, organizations, both in Illinois and outside of Illinois, that you can explore, or you can support your self-advocates in exploring to learn about self-advocacy. And so, Adam, will you share just a little bit about the Alliance and who we are?
The Alliance is a network of advocates and self-advocacy groups around Illinois. We began in 2008 and are funded by the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities.
And as we mentioned when we first started, we are currently in a 5-year grant cycle starting in 2022 and going through 2027. We are a network of advocates and self-advocacy groups. Many of our groups are embedded within organizations, disability service organizations. We do have some member group chapters that are just a group of people who come together to make a member group. If you are interested in learning more about becoming a member group chapter, certainly you can ask us and we can give you all that information.
Our vision is for self-advocates to work together to get the support we need and to live the life we want in the community. Our mission is to speak up for ourselves and each other while working together to make changes in our communities and in Illinois. Our focus is on empowering people to speak up about what they want and need, don't want and don't need, act and plan their goals, participate in advocacy at the personal, agency, community, and statewide levels.
And Adam said one of our goals is to help people get to their next, wherever that next is. And it is so individualized. For some people, their next is at a personal level. For some people, next might be doing something within their agency or organization, or participating as part of their community. Or we had several self-advocates this year achieve their personal next in filing witness slips during the spring legislative session. So it's very individualized. Self-advocacy is not one size fits all, but again, it depends on the person and what's important to them. And we tell self-advocates, it's okay to change your mind. Just because last year you were working on this doesn't mean you have to continue working on that. You can change your mind and it's okay. We are ever growing and evolving. And Adam, will you just share a little bit about how folks can get in touch with us?
You can email us at info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. We have a website. We're on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, we have more than 140 recorded presentations on our YouTube channel. We invite you to check that out. Another thing we have is 2 listservs. One is learning and advocacy opportunities, and that is fairly fast moving, where every day there might be between 1 and 3 emails that come out offering opportunities to learn or engage. Many of those opportunities are in Illinois. Some of them are national. Opportunities generally are free. Some are for a little bit of money. You engage with what you like and you delete what you don't. The other listserv we have is a monthly newsletter. So if you want to sign up for either of those listservs, we encourage you to email us at info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. Also, if you're with an agency or organization and you would like to have Adam and I or some other folks from the Alliance staff join your agency and share this presentation about self-advocacy with your self-advocates, you can email us at info@selfadvocacyalliance.org. We do these virtually. The presentations, not only are they free, but they are fabulous. And those are 2 great F words. I'm going to stop sharing so we can see each other. And if anybody has any questions or comments or contributions, we'd love to hear them. You can either take yourself off of mute and speak them out loud, or you are welcome to type into the chat and Jody will read them out loud.
I just wanted to say I really appreciate your presentation. It was great.
Oh, thank you.
Agreed.
Lynn Canfield. This is a name from my past, I think. No, good, good. Lynn, tell me who you're with.
In Champaign County.
Okay, okay. I have seen your name before. Oh, no, it's all good. It wasn't on a wanted poster. It wasn't at the post office or anything like that. Yes.
Oh, this is great stuff. Thank you.
Yes.
Are you all involved with the Engage Illinois project too?
We are. Yes, we were very pleased to be invited to be part of the Engage Illinois. One of the things that the Alliance does, I will share this with you. We are very skilled at making sure that information is accessible and universally designed so that the widest audience possible can engage with it. And that's one of the gifts and talents we have that we've offered to the Engage Illinois team.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments for either Adam or Krescene? Agreed. Informative and inspiring, one of the comments from one of our participants. So yes, it was a wonderful presentation. I appreciate it. This is the first in the 3-part series that we're doing with the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. So the next presentation is during our IDD committee meeting on July 9th at 10 a.m. If you don't have that information, I've sent it out a couple times, but feel free to reach out to me. I'll send reminders between now and then, but hope you can join us. And again, this will be recorded. I'll send out a link to the recording as well as the resources. And you had mentioned the YouTube channel that you have, so I will include a link to your YouTube channel and information about if they wanted to sign up for the listserv. So I'll be sure to include that as well. So
great.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Krescene.
Yes.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, Adam, you're a great man. Greatly appreciated. And as many have already said, highly informative, insightful, and for me, spiritual. This has been a wonderful presentation, and thank you. And it's just good to see everyone as well. And thanks, Jody. Jody
Thanks.
takes great care of us.
Oh,
good.
Lifeline. Just
thank you all.
absolutely.
You guys have a
Yeah.
good afternoon.
Yes,
Two.
thank
See you,
you.
Lynn.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.